Okay, today we are doing alternate history. I meant to do this last time, but we had some problems and I kind of forgot to record a video and things got in the way and just a lot of crap happened. So, we're just going to be doing alternate history today. I tried out animation, as I said I would a little bit ago. My animation software is a free online one called Brush Ninja. The reason I use it is because my school does like restricted websites that they can't go on if you're on their school devices, and Brush Ninja is not restricted, so I can just do it at school and not have to, do as much work at home. So yeah, that's where most of this is gonna be from. So today's scenario is: what if the U.S. and Soviets were friends? So we're going to start off in the end of the war and all of that stuff. So first we're starting off in 1945 to around 1955. So at the end of World War II, as we know in our timeline, it ended with a big old bang. But towards the end, but before that, the USSR and the US were on pretty good terms. But then when the big bang, as it will be referred to, happened, well, the arms race started. The point of divergence for this would be when the bombs are dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, or in this case, they are not. No bombs means no arms race, and that would be the main cause of the Cold War, because yes, the space race was a thing that was happening, but it wasn't as, going to the moon is cool, but destroying everyone and killing the entire planet? Now that's pretty sick. And without the bombs, you might think there would have been no end to World War II, or at least drag it on for many, many more years. Just drag the war out longer. But instead, the real reason the war ended was the Soviets threatening to invade Manchuria. Japan just surrendered to the U.S. because they thought they could keep more freedoms. When the war ended, there is no arms race. The USSR would be on more friendly terms and may make their own combined space program. Just because, there's no threat of them blowing each other to smithereens, and they both have a common goal of space. So what's stopping them from making a space program together? And I will this is just my theory for the name, it would be SASP. SASP, SASP, Soviet American Space Program. I think that'd be cool. Making the moon landing come a little bit more earlier, and overall more advanced, getting a man on the moon around the 1960s instead of the 1970s and 80s. So it's not too much of a big jump, but you never know. Now we are on to 1955 through 1970. Now, in the 60s and 70s are known for a lot of no war, no communism, protests, propaganda, all that crap. But now that the USSR and the US are on friendly terms, they would be less involved in the Korean War and the Vietnam War, making them possibly lose relations with Japan and France, because, Japan was another key player, probably the second biggest player in the Korean War besides, America. So they would be like, what the heck, man? Come on. And France actually was one of the reasons that the Vietnam War happened. They tried to, do something in Vietnam, and they were like, no. And they would most definitely worsen relations with Korea because they just got wiped off the face of the earth. But with a more, I'm a space nerd. But with a more advanced space program comes funny space things. Like in 1974, the first spaceship to complete a mission to the moon, and then land a prepared spot to get reused. So like a reusable rocket, which is just coming around on Earth. And in 1982, the first permanent moon colony would be established. Now, I didn't write this down in the script, but I think with the addition of the new moon colony and the reusable rockets, there would start to be new space tour programs and space hotels and stuff. I think it would be cool. Yes. I don't know. I thought I like space stuff. I don't know. That's cool. So having the two biggest space goers combined and to make a super space program, or the SASP, as I called it, I think that's just quite silly and fun. Now let's get to 1970 through 2000. This era would mostly stay the same as the last. More space stuff, more weakening relationships with France, Japan, and in 1987, Japan launches a small attack on Korea, which is controlled by North Korea in this universe, because, all that stuff. Just to, kind of be like, okay. Just, And the attack failed, and which was controlled by North Korea, but since they're supplied by China, the attack fails with a massive embarrassment on Japan. The people get angry and start a small revolution in Tokyo that starts to gain some speed, taking over the government. But the reason the U.S. does not but the U.S. doesn't get super involved in it because they think it could be involved diplomatically, and they don't want to start a war in there because that might be even worse. They might, don't want to start something bad. But they do end up taking over the government and declaring in a coup and take over and start war with the U.S. But backed by the Soviets, they get wrecked and lose some land, but they still get to live. So the coup gets destroyed. So now it's back to normal Japan. It's basically just mainland Japan and that little island right above them. The rest of all their islands are controlled by either the U.S. or the Soviets. So now Japan hates America, and Korea hates America, and France doesn't really like America, and a lot of people don't really like America now. They still get to live on, but Japan still gets to live on. So you anime dweebs are happy or something. But in 1990, revolutions pop up. Pop up in the Soviets. Now, usually the Soviets would collapse in 1991, but when everyone declares independence, instead of collapsing, the U.S. gives them resources and letting them rebuild factories and supplies lost and keep on trucking. So in this universe, most countries would still declare independence. Now, some would stay, maybe Afghanistan, or maybe some of their, Kazakhstan, some of their lesser populated, easier to control ones, because they're backed by the U.S., so they can just rebuild all that resources that were lost, and most of all of that stuff. So they would keep on trucking. 2000s to present. This is where it starts to get pretty much normal. Mostly. Keyword mostly. One big change. That's all. One big change. Now, the events of 9/11 would not happen. Because, you think about it. They did that 9/11 thing to show that, hey, we're not afraid of America. But think about it. The two strongest nations on Earth, either it does happen and they get absolutely destroyed, or and they get out. They just don't do it because of fear that the two big superpowers clashing down on them, on their country, or worse, they blame it on each other, and the two giants clash, which is a whole nother massive can of worms that I'll probably open up in a what if the Cold War got hot or something like that. And the war on terror really doesn't happen, making the Middle East a bit more stable for the most part. Not much, but, a little better. And for the most part, history continues as normal, just with a big red blob in Asia. Now it's time for the future. This is when it starts to get a little bit foggy. Well, I did have a couple ideas. So this is where it's just like my ideas. This probably wouldn't happen, but I think it would be silly Billy if it did. So, the USSR, this is the one part that I'm like calling, yeah, this probably would happen. But here's what it would be. The USSR in the future with advanced technology could melt the permafrost. Those big, massive ice chunks in Siberia that, can't be melted. And with under those, there's probably, good oil, good gold, good money, all that stuff. Good oil reserves, making them even more powerful. Possibly leading to World War III, because you think about it, now there's a massive superpower, and everyone's going to want a little bit of that. And with weakening relations, and once the USSR extracts all of that, they're like, okay, we're super powerful, we're backed by the US, I think it's time we claim some land back. So they're trying to take back the land from, what they lost when they started to fall apart. So they're going to start their conquests in Europe and Asia. Now, this is going to start protests all around the United States, but the U.S. weakening relations, all that can of worms. But what I'm excited for, or not really excited, but what I think would happen is rebellions would start to pop up, trying to overthrow the American government and betray the Soviets. For the most part, they would get put down, but the United States would stop sending supplies to them, and they would, for the most part, to stay away from each other. Now, I think this new gas industrial superpower of a USSR would have super warfare weapons. Any artist could draw them. I feel like, please do that. Super high-powered tanks with massive guns and gas bomb and all of this stuff. But but now that there's no US, people are unhappy with their USSR conquest. This is when it all falls apart. USSR rebellion, stopping, violence. Everyone starts dying. In Serbia. I always call Siberia Serbia. In Siberia, the mass oil fields start to get destroyed and taken to make gas bombs. They're not bombs made out of gas, not mustard gas, to destroy cities like Moscow and stuff, causing the USSR to have even more trouble with the problems that they're having, causing them to weaken in Europe, their fronts in Europe, because they're going to have to extract them to go stop the rebellions, and then it all falls apart. Now, if you think about it, you might think, well, that's not too bad, is it? It's pretty bad. I mean, it's pretty bad. I don't know what you or they're thinking about, but I think that's pretty bad. Your whole country's collapsing in on itself, and you're like, we're fine. Yeah, sure, buddy. Sure, buddy. I'm sure you would like to think that your strong, powerful country can never be hurt. Ever. But, whatever. What do I know? I'm some stupid kid on the internet. See you around next time. Watch some of my other videos. Have a good day.